Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we take a complicated stack of source material and distill it down to the essential, actionable knowledge you need. Today, we're cracking open some truly ancient wisdom. We're diving into excerpts from the Book of the Gradual Sayings, specifically a section they call the Book of the Ones.
And what we have here isn't just philosophy.
No, not at all. It's this incredibly meticulous, systematic guide for, I guess, internal management.
That's a great way to put it. Imagine an ancient user manual where every single outcome, mental bliss or just devastating loss, is traced back to one single root cause.
And that's what our source material is laser focused on, these crucial single factors.
Right. And that's the real mission of this deep dive, to distill these principles for hopefully some rapid mental clarity. We're looking at a system of cause and effect.
So the text is basically saying that the whole path, whether it's suffering or, what's the term,
Nibbana, yeah. Ultimate release from suffering.
Right. That whole journey hinges on just identifying and then managing that one crucial thing.
It's incredibly practical. We're not wading through abstract theories here.
We're looking for diagnostic tools. And the text, it just wastes no time. It jumps right into what causes the downfall. So let's unpack this system, maybe starting with that path to loss.
The text is very clear on this. It says we are easily chained, and it even names the chains. It's the senses.
What's really fascinating to me is the sheer power it gives to just one single sensory input.
Exactly. Chapter 1, it lays out these hazards of neglect. It says the mind is easily enslaved by a woman's or a man's form, sound, scent, savor, or touch.
And the key point is that it's the power of any single one of those. That one thing can completely possess a heart and just drag you off course.
Completely. And that feels so relevant today, doesn't it?
It really does. We talk about information overload, but this ancient text is saying a single input, a sight, a smell, has the power to hijack your entire mental operating system.
It's like a tiny single-factor vulnerability that leads to a total system crash.
A total system crash.
And the text warns that once the mind gets obsessed, even just by the sight of something desirable, it stops being a vehicle for wisdom. It becomes enslaved to craving.
So the first step in this management system is what? Rigorous attention to the gates of perception?
That's it, exactly. And if you fail to manage the senses, that leads you right into the core mental obstructions.
Okay, so that's chapter 2, where it says any seeker must abandon any single thing that causes the arising or increase of 5 key evils.
And these are what stop cultivation in its tracks. Sensual lust, malevolence, sloth and torpor, excitement and flurry, and doubt and wavering.
This moves beyond just noticing things then. It's active.
It's pure action. It sets an incredibly high standard, which is why we're calling it a management manual. It's not enough to just react when these states become a problem.
You have to preempt them.
You have to preempt them.
That sounds almost impossible. To prevent a troubling thought from even arising in the first place, does the text give you any tools for that?
It absolutely does. The whole process demands systematic attention. It says, if these evils haven't come up, you prevent them. If they have come up, you abandon them immediately.
And it gives a technique for this, especially for, the most common one, sensual lust.
It does. A very specific, though challenging one. The source talks about applying systematic attention to the ugliness of things.
The ugliness. Wow, that sounds intense. How is that supposed to work?
Well, it is intense, but you could think of it as a kind of ancient cognitive restructuring. It's designed to directly fight the mind's tendency to only focus on, perceived beauty and desire.
So you're meditating on the impermanence of it all.
Exactly. The practice involves actively meditating on the impermanence and eventual decomposition of whatever it is you're lusting after, a body, an object, anything you cling to. You're systematically inserting reality into an equation that's usually just dominated by fantasy.
So if the single cause of enslavement is focused sensory attraction,
Right.
The single countermeasure is focused cognitive redirection. You break the chain.
You break the chain. You're systematically cultivating detachment. And the text is brutal about what happens if you fail to do this.
The great loss. What happens if you just let the mind run wild?
The uncultivated mind is described as intractable. It refuses to be managed. It resists any training. The text says it is not made much of, and because of that, it brings great loss and woe.
And the opposite is the tractable mind, which brings profit and bliss.
And the difference between those two states is monumental. And it all depends on whether or not you've applied that systematic attention.
The text uses some really visceral analogies to illustrate the danger here.
It does. Chapters 4 and 6 have 2 really powerful ones. The first compares the ill-directed mind to the spike of bearded wheat.
Okay.
He says if you press that spike with your hand or foot, it is certain to pierce you and cause injury. There's no doubt about it.
So the mental direction is that sharp and that fixed? If you point it in the wrong direction, you are guaranteed to hurt yourself.
A guaranteed self-injury. And that injury, the text says, is certain to pierce ignorance and prevent the realization of Nibbana. The mind's ill direction is fixed and only leads to more suffering.
And then there's the counter-analogy, which uses the image of water clarity.
Yes, the turbid pool analogy. When the mind is troubled, stirred up, it's like a muddy pool. You can't see anything at the bottom, the oysters, the shells, the fish.
That mental turbidity, it prevents clarity. You can't diagnose yourself or the world accurately.
And the consequence is loss, for you and for others. But a clear, untroubled mind is like still water. It lets you see everything plainly.
It gives you the diagnostic capability you need. That really sums it up.
It drives home the point that a lack of clarity is the single thing that defines the uncultivated mind.
Okay, so that covers the hazards. If the turbid pool shows us the consequence of inaction, what is the single necessary movement to start clearing that water?
That's where we get to the path of profit. If singular attraction can destroy clarity, the source identifies energetic effort as the single greatest power to counter it.
Energetic effort. That sounds simple, but the text elevates it to the highest possible status. Why energy specifically?
Because it's the engine of cultivation. It's what causes good states to arise and, just as importantly, prevents the evil states from arising or getting stronger.
So cultivation isn't passive.
Not at all. It requires deliberate, singular power energy to constantly interrupt those bad habits.
Yeah.
Without that sustained effort, the mind just defaults back to its intractable, uncultivated state.
So if the mind is a machine, energy is the fuel that lets you actually use the management manual.
That's a great analogy.
What about the world around us? Is inner energy enough, or do external influences matter?
They matter hugely.
Yeah.
The source really highlights the importance of your social ecology. Chapters 8 and 9 name keeping good company friendship as a single power that prevents evil states from arising.
I see. So your internal state has to be matched by a supportive external environment.
Exactly. You can't cultivate a tractable mind in an environment that is constantly pulling you the other way. The single thing that is your environment either reinforces your effort or it completely undermines it.
This is where the text brings in the ultimate exemplar, right? The single person who generates profit for the whole world.
Yes, chapter 13. It declares that one person is born into the world for the benefit, compassion, and happiness of many folk. The Tathagata, the enlightened one.
We should probably define that term.
Right. The Tathagata basically means the one who is thus gone, the enlightened one. And the source describes this person as unique, without equal, unrivaled.
It sets the benchmark for what a singular cultivated effort can actually achieve.
It does. It shows that one fully cultivated individual can generate profit not just for themselves, but can literally reshape the world around them.
That's a huge impact. But not everyone has that, which I suppose brings us to viewpoint. It seems like your foundational view of reality is maybe the most important single factor of all.
It's the ultimate directional setting for the mind. Chapters 50-10 to 97 make this distinction incredibly stark.
So what does the text say about having a perverted view or wrong view?
It says it's impossible for a person with a perverted view to reap profit, happiness, or be reborn in the happy lot or heaven world.
So the outcome is harsh.
Very harsh. Reborn in purgatory, the waste, or the world of loss. The consequence tied to this single seemingly abstract thing, your view, is the total failure of your spiritual journey.
But why is view so definitive? Why does one belief system have such an earth-shattering consequence?
Because your view governs everything. All your deeds, your speech, your thoughts. Think of it as the foundational mission statement for your mind. If that mission statement is fundamentally flawed,
then all your actions based on it will also be flawed.
Corrupted. If your compass is set wrong, it doesn't matter how much energetic effort you put in, you're just moving faster in the wrong direction.
And conversely, if the view is correct, the profit is certain.
Yes. The text states it is certain that the person with right view is reborn in the heaven world. It provides the foundation that makes success not just probable, but guaranteed.
So let's move on to the successful application of this. The text gives us a whole roster of people who mastered specific aspects of cultivation.
Right, chapter 14. And this is crucial because it shows that even among those who succeed, there's specialization. A singular dedication to one form of excellence becomes their defining attribute.
Can you give us an example, something that shows the scale of this excellence?
Absolutely. Take Ananda, the personal attendant to the Enlightened One. He was singled out for his retentive memory. And this wasn't just, being good at trivia.
Right.
His memory was so cultivated that the entire oral preservation of the Dhamma, the teachings, depended on his perfect singular recollection. His cultivation of one thing became a profound service to all of humanity.
That really puts the power of a single thing into perspective.
It does. And then you have Sariputta, chief among the wise. His singular depth of insight was considered unparalleled, or Mahamoggallana, singled out for supernormal powers, which he used for teaching across vast distances.
And this same principle applies to everyone, right? The lay followers, the women disciples.
Everyone. We see Suppiya, who gives nurses care. It shows that devotion to compassionate service is just as high in attainment as profound wisdom. It's the single-minded focus that matters.
So what is the core practice that kind of encompasses all of these strengths? What's the one single thing that is conducive to Nibbana?
The supreme cultivation, according to Chapter XX, is a mind cultivated and made much of concerning the Dhamma, the teachings, and the order of the community.
That singular focus on the principles and the community, that leads directly to the destruction of ill will and greed.
It does. And there's one technique in particular that's singled out as the most powerful guardrail.
Which brings us back to those sensory chains from the beginning.
Exactly. It's mindfulness centered on the body. The text says this is the single factor that sustains culture and prevents death, or Mara, from sharing in those who partake in it.
So a radical, singular awareness of your physical reality, your breath, your sensations, is the ultimate preventative measure against the mind being hijacked.
It acts as an anchor. When the mind is centered on the body, it can't be so easily carried away by external senses or internal chaos. It sustains that culture of attention.
And this practice, when it's cultivated, it culminates in a whole suite of mental tools, the 5 facilities.
That's right. These are the 5 facilities: faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and insight. They're not just ideas. They're active mental capacities you have to develop systematically.
How do they work together?
They're synergistic. Faith gives you the conviction to start. That faith fuels the energetic effort we talked about. That energy strengthens your mindfulness, your ability to stay anchored.
And that mindfulness leads to concentration.
Which stabilizes the mind. And only when concentration is perfected can true insight, the realization of reality, finally arise. Each single factor builds on the one before it.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, today? This text really is an ancient but very robust diagnostic tool. It forces you to ask, is my mind luminous and tractable, or is it turbid and intractable?
And the knowledge we've distilled here shows that while the goal is grand ultimate release or even just profound mental clarity, the mechanism is simple and it's repeated. You identify the single cause of woe or profit.
And then you systematically work to abandon the first and cultivate the second.
Exactly. The text's uncompromising nature is its greatest strength. It suggests the entire structure of your existence is built on the consequences of these singular choices.
And to really drive home the gravity of all this, the source includes a pretty sobering assessment of the stakes, doesn't it?
It does. It notes that few are reborn among men or devas, and that far more, the vast majority, are reborn in the wombs of animals, purgatory, or the realm of ghosts.
That's not meant as dogma, is it? It's an illustration of the consequences.
It's the text's ultimate illustration of what happens when perverted view and intractable mental states are allowed to dominate. The stakes are, quite literally, existential.
So we'll leave you with this provocative thought, rooted in that clear distinction between profit and loss. If the stakes for mental cultivation really are this high, what single, seemingly small thing in your daily life, a specific habit, a sensory obsession, a particular piece of systematic effort, if cultivated or abandoned starting right now, would represent the greatest immediate leap toward profit, according to these ancient guidelines?
Think about that one thing and the effort it demands.